How to be confident in an interview. The fact is, employers like candidates who have confidence. And if you seem confident, they're just going to assume that you're going to perform better at your job, even if that's not necessarily the case. You might be amazing at your job, but you just don't like interviews. You just don't feel that confident when you go to them for many reasons. I mean, they're kind of awkward. You feel like you're being judged. Maybe you're worried about what questions are coming up. Whatever it might be, it's a huge shame not to get a job just because you weren't able to have confidence at the interview. And then after the interview, you go home and you think, oh, I should have said this, I should have said that. And sometimes you might not even realize things that your body language are giving off. Like maybe you've been fidgeting. Maybe you've been showing that your voice is squeaking too high. Little subtle cues like that can really affect the way that you come across. And then you're sitting there wondering, why am I not getting the jobs? I'm going to these interviews, I'm not getting the position. A lot of times it's due to confidence. So I'm going to share with you some tips which helped me a lot, because it's not that I'm an unconfident person, but I am an introvert. I'm not someone who just naturally is great at getting out there, especially in front of a panel of people who are judging me, and to be able to act confident. It didn't come naturally to me, so I had to learn how to do it. I'm going to share my tips with you, especially my top favorite tip is number 5. So make sure you stay until that one. And just in case you don't know me, I'm Dahlia. I'm a career strategist. I've been helping my clients to land highly paid work that is not only highly paid, but that they actually love to do. That's something I've been doing for about the last 6 years. And I also work as a communications consultant for various international organizations. So just to say, this is not just something that I show people how to do. I've also had to do it myself. I've had more than 22 different job roles. So I've had a lot of interviews. It's not just like I got one job and stayed there for 12 years. You know, I've got a lot of different jobs. I had to do a lot of applications and a lot of interviews. So without further ado, here is how to get confidence in your next interview. Number 1 is to maintain strong body posture. Please make sure you're paying attention to your physicality. You want to either stand or sit in really open positions. And when you're feeling nervous, it's so easy without realizing it to try to make yourself smaller. Let's see if I can do it right now. You know, make yourself a bit smaller like this, but you want to be sitting upright, arms open wide, and really exuding that confidence with your posture. I would recommend just before the interview doing, when nobody's watching you, doing what's called the superhero pose. So that means you put your arms on your hips. Let me see if I can show you right now. Arms on your hips, and you just stand up really straight like you're a superhero. So arms on your hips, shoulders way back. You can even put your chin up and just feel like you are the absolute best. And just doing the superhero pose can actually help you snap into a confident state. Next, make sure you're breathing intentionally. While waiting to be greeted by your interviewer, take a few moments to do that deep breathing, and that's going to help to put you into a calm state, which you can carry on into the interview. If you're feeling nervous or agitated, that is the energy you'll bring in, and they'll see that as a lack of confidence. So repeat deep breaths 5 times, in through the nose, out through your mouth. Clear your mind. Don't keep going over the answers in your mind. You should have practiced before the interview, and now you're just getting yourself centered. As long as you have your answers rehearsed and you know what your value proposition is, you've already done all of that upfront work. You don't need to be running your answers over. They are there, and as long as you're in that calm state, you're going to naturally think of the right words to say. Now, once you're in your interview, make sure you're not fidgeting, because nervous fidgeting is one of the most telltale signs you're nervous. Make sure you practice before your interview and get someone to actually interview you. This is why I always do mock interviews with my clients, so that I can pinpoint any little things that they're doing that they have no idea that they're doing. So whether it's that you shake your legs because when you're nervous, or if you put your hands in your you do like the thumb thing, or you just, one thing I do, which is really bad, is I often hold a pen and I'm like just shaking the pen. Like, you don't want to do that kind of thing. What you want to do instead is actually use your hand gestures. So instead of fidgeting with your hands and not knowing what to do with them, start using your hands to appear more confident. Actually, it's interesting that when you show your hands to someone and you make gestures, I know we all know that certain cultures like to make gestures more than others, but regardless of your culture, using your hands more actually inspires trust and makes you seem more confident. It helps people to pay attention to you, helps them to believe what it is that you're saying. So instead of making nervous gestures, think about freeing your hands and using them to make your point. Okay, maybe that's a bit too much, but you know what I'm saying. Next up is to dress appropriately. So we don't have time now to go into exactly what everyone should be wearing, and it's very, that's something that depends on each person, what you should wear, as well as the type of environment. If in doubt, dress better than you think you might have to. You want to be just at a level above the average office person, because the average office person, right, they kind of, as the days go on, they start dressing down a bit more. They kind of know everyone. They know what they need to do. They're like, oh, I don't have any important meetings today, whatever. And they don't dress that well. But you're trying to make a first impression. Like, this is the time to go a bit more glam, a bit more just to look better, because it's going to show that you've made the effort, number one. Number two, you're going to look more put together, right? Just putting in a bit of extra effort, looking like you're super put together, looking extra professional. That's going to make a better impression. It's a bit different once you've been in the office for a while, everyone knows you, then you can be a bit more slack. But as your first impression and you're being compared to other candidates, you want to give yourself the edge. You don't want to be like, oh, she seems good, she seems nice, but yeah, she seems a little more slack than the other person who's like totally put together. Just make sure, obviously, you don't go, super glammed up for a casual tech office environment, because then people are just going to think about the makeup on your face or the flashy color you were wearing, or they're just going to think that they're going to notice how dressed up you were in a flashy way and in even a tacky way versus remembering you. So definitely don't go wearing something that you've never worn before. You don't know whether or not you're going to be comfortable in it, especially if it's an in-person interview. You want to be super, super comfortable. So if you're not sure, make sure you wear the outfit out a few times just to get comfortable wearing it. And another tip, though, is to incorporate some color. It's tempting to try to be on the safe side and just go like all black or all beige or whatever, but then you might be less memorable. So using a bright color shows more confidence. It's a great idea to do some interview practice. I've had clients who are super successful people. They've obviously had plenty of job interviews before and they've gotten high-level positions. But still, when we do interview practice together, we find so many things that have been stopping them from getting to that next level. For example, I have one client who is just this amazing, so successful and so many qualifications and has done so many impressive things, but he doesn't really like to show off, as many good people don't like to sell themselves and show off. And so it's a bit tricky for him. Like, where he was getting stuck is he does have all these amazing qualifications, and of course he needs to talk about them in order to get the job, but at the same time he doesn't want to sound like he's bragging. So that, when he was speaking, gets translated into he kind of was sounding a bit unfriendly, actually, just very blah, professional. Well, I did this for a couple of years and then I led a team which was good and like very professional and boring sounding. And he kind of lost his personality in the interview. And the reason for that is because he hadn't figured out how to strike the balance between selling himself and his achievements and yet not bragging. And so, because he wasn't sure exactly how to position that, it just came across as very flat. So I can't emphasize enough practicing your interviews and just to make sure that you have not only the right answers for things, but that you also have the right energy and that you're giving off that sense of confidence. Another thing you want to do is to visualize a successful interview. Make sure that you have visualized how it's going to look when it all goes smoothly. So see yourself doing a great job. That's going to put your mind at ease and make you feel more confident because you've already rehearsed the outcome in your mind. The last thing you want to do is to be thinking about the interview and having nightmares about it all night, where you are hallucinating, looking at that picture of how badly it's going to go, and what if this happens, and what if that happens, and what if I don't have the answer to this or to that. You don't want to be thinking about that. You want to be thinking about how you're going to be so put together and your answers are just going to flow smoothly, and they're going to laugh at any joke you make, and they're going to find you so charming, and they're going to say at the end of the interview, wow, it's been fantastic to meet you, and you are just so amazing. I think you can expect a call from us very soon. Just visualize the outcome that you want.